Hello, this is Lady Boulay. Welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And we are continuing to journey through our past and our present. And in this video, the past caught up with the present and had a very untimely and unexpected ending. This is Nottaway Plantation House, a historic plantation house located near White Castle, Louisiana, in the United States of America. The home is a Greek revival and an Italianate styled mansion built by enslaved laborers for John Hamden Randolph in 1859. It stood as the largest antebellum plantation house in the United States with 53,000 square feet of floor space. 53,000 square feet of floor space. In 1860, 155 enslaved people lived and worked on Nottaway Plantation. Again, it was the largest antebellum plantation in the southern United States. This is a portrait of John Hampton Randolph, born in 1813 and died in 1883. He was a Louisiana slave owner and sugar planter. Now, do you think for 1 minute that he planted any sugar cane? He owned 4 sugar plantations in Iberville Parish, Louisiana, Nottaway, Blythewood, Forest Home, and Bayou Gula. Now this man did not plant any sugar cane. He did not harvest any sugar cane. He did not cultivate sugar cane in any way. He got his hands on some slaves and worked them to death and accumulated all of this wealth, including the largest plantation house in the South. Now you have to wrap your mind around that. And they set him up really well. Here are some of the rooms inside that plantation house. This is real wood, and these draperies are as expensive as the furniture. That's real marble on top of those nightstands. So they had the best of everything, compliments of the enslaved people. Please understand, this man didn't pay for anything in this house. Those enslaved people paid for everything that he owned. Nottaway has survived for 166 years, from 1859 till 2025. In modern times, it has been used as a resort and as a popular destination for weddings and vacations and people who want to revisit the glory of the Old South. Here is an aerial view of the layout of the estate, and you can see that there are many, and you can see that it is a complete operation, including a gift shop. They always have gift shops at these plantation houses, and that stuff in there is very expensive. I've been to a couple of them. They have a ballroom, a carriage house, a tennis court. They have cottages resembling slave cottages, complete with an overseer's cottage. Are you getting the idea now of what this is all about? This is an operation based on the slavery theme, and they are still making money off these things. They are still making money off this plantation, and there are several of them around the country where they are still making money off that slavery theme. And here is what they call the Negro Cemetery on Nottaway. And we see Monroe Barber died in 1934. Mamie Davis died in 1933. So they lived into the modern age, but they were enslaved on that plantation. I will never be able to understand how people can romanticize a system that held people in captivity for hundreds of years, never acknowledging their humanity, and bringing it into the 400th year, never actually realizing it was wrong, and continuing to glamorize and romanticize something that was so tragic to a race of people. I will never be able to wrap my mind around it. But Norway had a very good run, 166 years of humiliation, and tragedy for one race of people, but romanticism and glory for another race of people. Well, it all came to an end yesterday. The great Nottaway Plantation caught fire, and it has burned to the point of destruction. Historic Nottaway Plantation in Louisiana reduced to ruins by devastating fire. Witnesses watched as the historic estate, once featuring 64 rooms and covering 53,000 square feet, was destroyed by fire. Firefighters used water from the Mississippi River and battled the flames for hours. Only the chimneys were left standing on the second and third floors. Staff evacuated after seeing smoke on the second floor, and when they returned, the room was already in flames. Nottaway Plantation, a historic and cultural site in Louisiana, also served as a resort and event venue. Its destruction is considered a major loss for local tourism and history. Many people remember it as a popular spot for weddings and gatherings. However, the site also represented a painful past, once operated with the labor of 155 enslaved people. Iberville Parish President Chris Daigle reflected on the loss, stating, while its early history is undeniably tied to a time of great injustice, over the last several decades, it has evolved into a place of reflection, education, and dialogue. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Since the 1980s, it has welcomed visitors from around the world who came to appreciate its architecture and confront the legacies of its era. The loss of Nottaway is not just a loss for Iberville Parish, but for the entire state of Louisiana. It was a cornerstone of our tourism economy and a site of national significance. Its absence will be felt deeply by our community, our state, and by the many who found meaning in its preservation. Well, it could have been a teaching tool, but instead it was an entertainment venue, a venue to romanticize a past that was tragic to Black American people, many of whom live in the state of Louisiana. My husband and I have visited those Mississippi River plantations. There's a bunch of them down there, and they're still making money off those plantation houses, and they're still glamorizing them and speaking of them with nostalgia. Those women will come out dressed out just like the women did in the 1800s. So there's no sense of accountability for how that house was paid for and all of the contents of it paid for by the people that worked on the grounds of that plantation. So I see Black Americans, descendants of slavery, on social media rejoicing over the loss of Nottaway Plantation House. But I would have rather it been used as an educational tool of dialogue, of some kind of communication venue for Black and white people, especially those of us whose family members were enslaved and the ones whose family members held them enslaved. Instead, they're using it as nostalgia to celebrate that slave era and to mourn its passing. They are sorry that that time passed, and they're trying to bring it back in their memory by going back to those plantation houses and trying to reenact the past. In that regard, I mean, I don't see it as that great of a loss. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't. But let me know what you think about this. Thank you for listening. Give me a thumbs up and have a good evening.